Welcome back to my channel. If you're not subscribed yet, consider subscribing because this goes a long way. Thomas Massie questioned FBI Director Kash Patel about the Jeffrey Epstein files. Massie asserted that FBI documents, specifically the FD-302s, contain names of at least 20 individuals, including a CEO, a royal prince, a Hollywood producer, and several billionaires who were involved in Epstein's trafficking activities. Let's take a listen to what he's saying here.
According to victims who cooperated with the FBI in that investigation, these documents in FBI possession, your possession, detail at least 20 men, including Mr. Jess Staley, CEO of Barclays Bank, who Jeffrey Epstein trafficked victims to, victims including minors such as Virginia Roberts, Giuffre, may she rest in peace. That list also includes at least 19 other individuals, one Hollywood producer worth a few $100 million, one royal prince, one high-profile individual in the music industry, one very prominent banker, one high-profile government official, one high-profile former politician, one owner of a car company in Italy, one rock star, one magician, at least 6 billionaires, including a billionaire from Canada.
These names he just mentioned were provided by victims who cooperated with the FBI. Patel's responses indicated that while the FBI has reviewed these materials, he personally has not reviewed them, and we have seen him testifying and saying exactly that, which is very odd. Why would he not review himself? And then he said, quote, "And the Department of Justice and FBI are not in the practice of releasing victims' names or incredible information," really. Not doing anything substantial for the people to release those files, just pouting whatever comes to his mind. He also stated that multiple authorities across 3 administrations have looked at the entirety of what the FBI has.
The entirety of the Epstein files and bring forth any credible information. And we're working with Congress not only to divulge that information and produce it to you, but any investigations that arise from any credible investigation will be brought. There have been no new materials brought to me launching a new indictment.
So is the loophole here, or is it your assertion that these victims aren't credible, that the 302s maybe didn't produce credible statements that rise to a probable cause?
It's not my assertion, sir. It's the assertion of 2 different United States attorneys' offices from 3 separate administrations who investigated those same materials in lifetime.
Are the 302 documents in the FBI's possession?
They reviewed all that, yes, sir.
And so have you reviewed those 302 documents where the victims name the people who victimized them?
If I personally know, but the FBI has.
So how can you sit here and in front of the Senate and say there are no names?
I said
I named one today.
I said we are not in the practice at the Department of Justice FBI of releasing victims' names. That is not what we do. We are also not in the habit of releasing incredible information. That's not what we do. But multiple authorities have looked at the entirety of what we have.
Okay, I got to move on here. Were you present when...
Well, the question was not whether you release the victims' names. The question and the emphasis was, do you know those names? Have you reviewed it as FBI director? But he said, no, I have not. FBI did, I have not. In other words, Kash Patel is saying, I don't know nothing. Unbelievable.
The AG had the White House event when she released the binders to the social media influencers.
Yes.
So if you're willing to meet with social media influencers who stood to benefit from the sensational and sad stories of these victims, will you meet with the victims as well?
The FBI will meet with anyone who has new information.
Will you personally meet with them?
The FBI and the professionals who are handling the cases will.
Were you instructed that it was important to release the documents to the Oversight Committee on the day of my introduction of the discharge petition to release these files?
I don't know what day that was, so no.
Well, they were released that day, and there were victims' names who weren't redacted because they were in such a rush, and the victims are not happy about that. Have you investigated any of the CIA connections. Have you seen the CIA file on Jeffrey Epstein? And if you wanted to see it, would they show it to you?
Well, I can speak for the FBI, and that's presuming there's a CIA case file, and I've reviewed everything that the interagency, not I, the FBI, that was provided to us.
Would you be willing to look at the CIA file on Jeffrey Epstein?
If there is such a file, and if it has not already been turned over to the FBI will look at any new investigative leads.
Have you made any progress on the pipe bomb investigation January 6th? And have you made any progress on the motive of the Las Vegas shooter?
As to the first, it's an ongoing investigation, and we have made progress.
Accountability and transparency concerns. The lack of public disclosure protects those named, right? And questions what happens when institutions decide what counts as credible and when power investigates itself. This moment shows how accountability stalls not through denial but through bureaucracy, raising concerns about those responsible for exposing the truth, also protecting a system that benefits from silence. I mean, this is exactly what is happening at the moment. This is exactly what is happening at the moment. The power is protecting itself.